Shalom, family. It is good to see you all. We're going to talk about something that has gone viral online. And, when we see how things are promoted in this country, it's not really too shocking. But I guess when you see it at this magnitude, at one party that they had, and every player that showed up had a white woman, no women at this celebration were black. And you got to look at what is promoted in America. These relationships are heavily promoted because they got a terrible birth rate going on. And see, prior to this, when they somewhat had a birth rate, we didn't see all this heavy promotion, but we certainly see it now. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not up to us to save them. It is not our duty, and it is not up to us to create life with our enemies. It is not up to us to do those things. But because they are in a dire situation with their numbers, now more than ever in the history of us being around each other, they are no longer turning away even from the ones they have disdain for anymore, because things are looking so bad when it comes down to the low birth rate that's going on. among these people. They're not that big on this planet to begin with. But on top of that, because I mean, let's face it, y'all, barrenness is a curse. It's a curse when you can't create life with each other. That's a curse. All right. And that curse is brought upon them because they have spent centuries destroying our Abba, Yahweh, his children. So now the curses are on them, and he's going to spend this time destroying them. Destroying people through a lack of birth, y'all, that is a terrible curse because eventually you'll be wiped out of existence. That's a terrible curse to have on you. That means you will have no legacy on the planet eventually. You won't have another generation to look to, and you will have no one to pass all of your wealth on to. All of that's going to be taken away. That's a terrible thing to think about, that one day you won't be here at all. And see, they can't do that to us because our Heavenly Father said He would never let them utterly destroy us. So they can't return that on us. They may want to do it, and they've tried to wipe us out. The crack epidemic is one good example of them trying to wipe us out. I haven't forgotten about the NBA, but this story just happened to be about a party that occurred, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles. I know I haven't forgotten about them, Swift. So anyway, we have seen this pushed so heavily, especially over this last decade. They have really been pouring it on, y'all. Sports and entertainment is a good way to push this propaganda because it's such a visible thing, not only in the mainstream, but also on social media. It's a very visible thing, and it's a good propaganda tool where they can physically show you these interracial couples all the time. So we have seen it probably most of our lives through sports and entertainment. We are now seeing it heavily in commercial and print ads, billboards, magazines. We see these interracial couples. And it's not just sports and entertainment. I want y'all to go back to when Joe Biden decided to select a Black woman for the Supreme Court. And that was another thing that went viral. Every single Black woman that was a nominee for the Supreme Court had a white husband. And people were chattering about, some of y'all might remember this. Every single one. It wasn't just Ketanji Brown Jackson. It was every single nominee that the Biden administration selected as a potential candidate for the Supreme Court. Every single Black woman had a white husband. And I remember we were all chattering about that as well. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we have seen this across the board. You know, who got the most powerful DNA and genes on this planet? Us. That's why we can dominate everyone that procreate with us, we can our genes will dominate in a big way because we just have the most powerful DNA on the planet. And it just goes to show you, you got to have that melanin in order to exist on Earth. You got to have that melanin. Melanin is life. And you see the people that got the least of it, the Asians, the white people, the people that got the least of that melanin are the ones with the worst birth rate. So don't let them tell you melanin, because I've heard some of them will try to interact with a melanin ain't everything. Actually, yes, it is. Actually, yes, it is. All you got to do is look at who on this planet got the low birth rates. It is all that. Don't ever let somebody that is lacking in melanin tell you it's nothing. If it was nothing, then their birth rate should be intact. Why isn't it? Okay. So no, it is something. So don't let them tell you it's nothing. When I was growing up, you know, especially when you go to school, we're all skin tones and you're going to always have those really dark skin boys and girls that you go to school with. And I remember there was a white kid laughing at this really dark skin um student that was in the class with us. And he was like, "Oh, why do you look that way?" "What do you mean, why do you look that way? He's black." "Yeah, but your gums are brown." Well, that's because on many of us, melanin will show in all kinds of ways. Sometimes you'll look at somebody's eyes and their eyes will kind of look kind of brownish. Y'all, there's nothing wrong with that person's eyes in our community where it may look a little brown. That's melanin coming through their eyes. That's why the whites of their eyes will have a brownish tint to it. There's nothing wrong with their eyes. Their eyes just happen to have a lot of melanin. When you see brown gums, that's just the melanin showing up on their gums. Sometimes you'll look at someone's fingernails and their fingernails will look darker than someone next to them. The skin underneath just happen to have more melanin. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with that person. And I had to turn and tell that white guy that. I said, "That's melanin. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with him. The hell out of here." And that's one thing we must stop these people from doing. Telling us our melanin, something's wrong with our dark skin. Something's wrong with us if we got dark gums and we have things that just look different on us. No, that is melanin. Enough of that. Never should have let them get away with that all throughout history. And unfortunately, they have gotten away with that for far too long, telling us that our melanin is a problem when our melanin is the key to life on the planet. Not only do the people, but even things out in nature, your grass, your trees, your flowers, they all got melanin. That's why they all have color. How you doing, Terrain? Good to see you. Yeah, all of those things. Melanin is life. Even your animals on the earth have melanin. Many of your animals got it. Otherwise, how do they live out in the wild? Many of them with baking hot sun and survive. They survive because even they got melanin. So no, we don't allow pale beings on this earth to tell us there's something wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong. If anything, you got an advantage over them. So let's talk about why we see so many of these athletes falling for this thing. You know, I know people will say, well, you can't help who you love. Actually, that's not what we're looking at. What we are looking at, ladies and gentlemen, that people that are buying into the hype, that there is something special about people that are not special at all. Our Bible do not prop these people up. Do y'all notice that? Whenever you open up and you start reading about the tribes of Esau, the Hittites, and when it speaks about the Romans and the Greeks and the Persians, whenever it references Gentiles, the Bible don't make anything special. When you start reading about Gentiles, there's nothing special about them at all. They have made themselves special just to justify having an advantage over everybody else. But do they really have that advantage? No, they don't. No, they don't. That's why they don't go to the Old Testament because it doesn't speak very kindly about them. It doesn't prop them up as something greater than everything else on the planet. It doesn't do that at all. In fact, it's contrary to what they are saying to us about themselves. They're telling us there's some master race and high IQs and they just got all these advantages. But when you look at their history and look at what the Bible says about them, it's actually the opposite. But through propaganda, many people that don't have the spirituality are easily brainwashed into believing something that that is absolutely false. So they don't believe the hype and think somehow bringing these Gentile women in their lives that they're doing something, but they got the best woman on the planet. Do they really? Do they really have the best woman on the planet? Do they really? I mean, and when you look at these pictures, like this particular picture, they didn't even select the prettiest woman. You notice how many of them in the photo look very plain and ordinary? You don't look at them and say, "Well, that one over there, that one's fine, and that one's beautiful." They look very plain. I just don't see nothing very special or stand off. This is why they gotta prop up their beauty standard, because it's a brainwashing. That's all it is. They're trying to make you believe something about them that is just simply not true. That's why so many of us have walked away from even believing their beauty standard. And the proof of it is how many of our women are going natural. It's a lot of black women right now going natural. We are no longer trying to straighten our hair to please them. We are just not doing it. We're not doing it, not anymore. We may have been coaxed into doing this a few decades back, but now we ain't down with that like we used to be. Now it's not about their standards of what we should be. It's about us. How you doing, Kid Gravity? It's about us now. We're making it more about us. And our men actually plays a role in that too. I had said I don't really talk about weaves and all that stuff. I just don't have a track record online of talking about that. But I had said before, if more of our men say to the women, I love your natural hair, overnight, do you know our women would put that hair away? A lot of times when you see our women wearing weaves, they're trying to please you, black man. That's what they're doing. They're trying to please you. Now, I know a lot of women get on here and say they don't care about men, they can do it all themselves. That's not entirely true. A lot of times, our women were doing that for the black men because they thought that's what you wanted in a woman. As crazy as that may sound, that is the truth. They think that's what you want. You want the straight, long hair. You want all of that. But if you would have just said collectively, we want you in your natural hair, those weaves would have been thrown away overnight. And that is the truth. Y'all think because we bicker back and forth that the women don't care. I am a woman. Black man, what you say to us means the world to us. You may think it don't, it does. When you hurt us by saying you don't like us, that hurts. That kills our soul. If you want to kill a black woman, tell her you don't want her and then look at other women. We may not say it, that hurts like hell. I'm telling you, black men, that hurts. If you want to hurt us, that is the key to hurting us. We may talk all that trash about we don't care, F you. We do care. We care. And we hate hearing those things. We do. We hate that you don't want us. It hurts. And maybe we just don't tell you enough, but it hurts. The last thing black women want is to feel unwanted by the men that are supposed to be our partners. It hurts. And so when you look at a picture like this, you got all these young black men on the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is what they brought to the party. Something is definitely wrong. Something is wrong. It's almost like when you gain wealth through your talent, what this society is saying to you is when you gain wealth through your talent, that wealth is supposed to go to someone white. They are saying it without coming out in the open and saying it. So if this man dies, all that wealth goes back to the white community. That's why it's encouraged for you to go out and get these women because at the end of the day, these folks are about money. This is a way to keep that money in the white community. So at this point, if you and one of these women in the picture get divorced, that money is, and she gets alimony and she gets child support, all that money is going to the white community if she divorce you. Or if you happen to die during this interracial marriage, again, that's all going to their community. So that's why many of them, they may not like it, but they'll halfway put up with it if a politician or an athlete or an actor or somebody out here making big money marries one of them, they may not like it all the way, but they're willing to look the other way because at the end of the day, who is the big winner in the whole thing? They are. They are. And that's the truth. That's why we see this cycle over and over and over because they don't want that wealth coming to the Black community. And unfortunately, these men that do these things, they're not seeing it. They think love is blind. Nah, honey, love got two eyes and can see quite well. And if love is love, why does that love always got to be white? That's why I don't believe the love is love either. It's one thing if love is love, and I see y'all with women all the way across the board, but when I consistently see more white women than any other woman, that's not love is love. I mean, you can say those things, but no, you are actually going out of your way to choose white. You're going out of your way to do it. You are. That's not love is love. It's not. I mean, you can keep saying those things, but that's not what this is in the picture. This is I'm seeking out a white woman and now I have one. That's what this is, seeking out the white woman. That's what you're doing. Or she's seeking you out and you're just falling for it. I have seen this, even especially when I got in the workplace. That's when, whoo, man, you got so many of these women telling you they don't want no black man. Nah, they're not into black men. And I have seen these women with white husbands. And if there's a halfway attractive black man on the job, man, I have seen them flirting the hell out of these black men. They'll sometimes have a white husband, and if there's an attractive black man on the job, they're all over it. I've seen it. I have seen this. I have seen it. But in conversation, oh no, oh no, I don't want no black man. Ugh, I don't want no black man. But then when one is halfway attractive around these same women that claim they don't want this dark man, I have seen them almost fall over themselves flirting with that man. And 9 times out of 10, if you have a conversation with that man, he's gonna tell you how all them white women are clawing all over themselves to get to him. They know. I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times, not once or twice, many times, many times. And I've seen the affairs go on between some of these married white women, married to white men, married with white children, and they're all over having affairs with these black guys. I've seen that too. I've seen it many times on these jobs. Many times. So I know it happens. Oh, it happens in all the industries. That's why I laugh when they openly try to reject us And 9 times out of 10, when you go in their history, there's some black person somewhere they done laid down with. I'm serious. There's some black person somewhere they done laid down with. My grandmother told me back when she was young, they had a saying down in the South: separated by day, integrated by night. Because at night, if let's say black people were barbecuing and partying and playing music, white people would show up and start partying with them. But as soon as the sun came out, everybody was separated again. My grandmother said that's why they had that saying down there in the South. And I said, no, I believe it. I believe it. So y'all, this is a problem here in America. And this is exactly what they want, because right now, what kind of future do these people really have with a low birth rate? So now anything goes. Just get it the best that you can. If you can nab anybody, have a baby with them so that we can continue on, but they won't be continuing on with our DNA, that's for sure. So as we go on, this kind of stuff will continue to be encouraged, and unfortunately, we're going to always have those among us that will fall for it. And like I said, even when they prop people up, especially folks in our community, they always prop the kind of people up with white spouses, or whether it's a wife or husband. We have seen Candace Owens, they heavily propped her up until recently, until she fell out with them folks. She was heavily propped up, right? And then we saw Daniel Cameron, another one. They were propping him up. He recently ran for governor, and we see what he's married to. And then Fox News, who did they have on there? Stacey Dash, and she was with a white man. And then they had David Clark, and before he got divorced, he had a white woman. That's what I'm saying. All the Negroes that they get behind are a bunch of raccoons, until they decide they don't want them around and they destroy them like they did to Candace Owens. Yeah, all of them. Even Jesse Lee Peterson, all of them. In order for you to be propped up in American society, you got to be a Negro with a white spouse or girlfriend. Those are the only ones they seem to prop up these days. Charles Barkley. Yep, you got that right. I mean, even Michael Jordan, his name is still kicked around here and there, and he's another one. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this one. Thank you so much for being here. Some of you I will see on the next live stream at 4. Let me give my thanks to those that you gave donations. Dark Skin Brother, thank you. Keep up the amazing work, my warrior sister. Black Scuba Queen, thank you for the super sticker. Onika, thank you for the membership on my podcast. And Mike C, thank you for the super chat. I just remember the scriptures referring to these folks as spittle. Absolutely. That is correct. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day. And as for My people that join me for Bible study, I will see you at 4 o'clock. Shalom, family.